Hello and welcome to an exciting episode of Android Faithful, your weekly source of news, hardware, apps, and more for all the people who love the wonderful world of Android. I am Ron Richards, and with me as always,
Huyen Tue Dao.
And of course, it wouldn't be a show without
Mishaal, Rahman.
Oh, wrong way.
And we are very, very excited to welcome a guest who some of you are probably familiar with. You know him, you love him, Mr. Jason Howell.
You just throw some confetti? Was that confetti you just threw?
Yeah, because it was. So I promise I'm not fishing for happy birthdays, but it was my birthday a week ago, and so my
Happy
desk
birthday.
got
Happy birthday.
littered with confetti and a party hat and these little like clapper things. And I wondered why, and now I know why, so that I can throw them at the camera. Hi, it's so good to see you all.
Welcome to the show, Jason. For those
Thank
you DTNS listeners or watchers, that you guys know Jason too, but if you don't know, we used to do All About Android with Jason, and here we are in the new frontier of Android Faithful. We've been dying to get him on the show, and finally the schedules aligned, and he was able to come on board. So thank you, Jason.
And like without fail, we had a staff meeting here at TWiT that ran long. So you know, we're starting the show at like the normal All About Android time, which was almost always at least a half an hour late.
Exactly. I'm just waiting for Burke to text me to yell at me about something. So I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for that to happen.
Your
Yeah,
levels.
yeah, my level. Am my
What'd
audio
you have for
okay?
breakfast?
Put your camera,
What'd you have for dinner?
Yes, that one exactly.
So for those of our listeners who might not know who Jason, why don't you let everyone know where do you work? What do you do, my friend? Who are you?
I work at a podcast network that you may have heard of called This Week in Tech or TWiT. And, I produce some shows. I host some shows. Right now I'm hosting Tech News Weekly with Micah Sargent, twit.tv/TNW. And then I'm also working on an AI show that's called AI Inside. And that's been a lot of fun as well.
We have an AI story later in today's show that I picked just for you, Jason.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
It's on
All
the
right.
Android Faithful drinking card. AI,
Yes.
Compose.
Jetpack Compose. Exactly.
RCS. We haven't talked about
Yeah.
RCS as much lately.
RCS.
Yeah. It's been a little quieter, but yeah. So, all right. Well, real quick before we dive into the show, just want to remind and thank everybody that goes to patreon.com/AndroidFaithful for you are the folks that are helping make the show happen. We really appreciate everybody who signs up on our Patreon. And as part of signing up for the Patreon, every week you get to pick a story that we talk about on the show. And it's always fun to see what you guys vote. So more on that a little later on. But with that out of the way, let's get into the show. What do you guys say? Jason, we don't have fancy TWiT bumpers here.
No.
So I just say
I'm so out of here.
I just like to say we're just gonna talk about the news. And so
All right.
First up, Mishaal is gonna tell us so Android 14 has been a hot topic around here. I don't know. Do you still follow Android, Jason, or?
Yeah, I mean, I will say that I kind of took my foot a little bit off the gas. But hey, I still have an Android phone. I don't have the beta installed right now.
All right.
For whatever that's worth, but I did check for an update today and I got one. I just don't think it's the one that we're about to
Are you
talk
familiar with the fact that it hasn't launched yet, Android 14 at least? Or
about.
Okay,
I
good.
know that. Thank you, Ron.
So speaking of the update you got today, I'm guessing it was probably the September 2023 security update that rolled out for Pixel phones this week. Many people were expecting the Android 14 update to have rolled out already, but instead we got a new Android 13 based update for Pixel phones. And this is actually a little bit late because the September patches were announced back on September 5th, but now it's September 18th, or actually this was yesterday when it rolled out. But that's when we got the update. And so now many are wondering, when is Android 14 coming out? Well, we don't know the exact date, but some people are expecting maybe next month or maybe later this month. We don't know for sure. But another thing we do know is coming this week is the Android 14 QPR beta, the quarterly platform release beta, which Google has said they did say it's coming out the week of September 18th. So sometime this week, maybe tomorrow, it should be on the way. And for those of you who are keeping track as to what devices will be getting the Android 14 QPR update, the Pixel 5 and Pixel 5a, 5G, and later should be getting the update, assuming that device is no longer is not being dropped from the roster. Speaking of devices being dropped from the roster, though, the Pixel 4a is no longer being supported with the monthly security update because Google announced that way back when it was launched that device would stop receiving updates with August 2023 and later. So the September update was not released for the Pixel 4a, and so sorry,
Mishaal,
Pixel 4a.
I had a question for you though. So I saw a bunch of chatter about the QPR beta, and everybody basically I saw a bunch of articles saying, now's your chance to back out of the beta to avoid getting the QPR.
Oh yeah, so it's kind of a mess there. So assuming that the Android 14 update was supposed to be released on September 5th, that's the assumption that I'm going with. The idea was that Android 14 would have been released on that date, on September 5th, and then the QPR update would be released this week, so that anyone who was still on the beta program would have been able to opt out and receive the stable update and not be forced onto this new beta. But because this QPR beta is launching this week, and because the stable update hasn't released yet, people who are still on the Android 14 beta program will be forced onto the Android 14 QPR beta program unless they do a complicated process, which is opting out right now, refusing the downgrade update that's sent to their devices until the stable release comes out. Because if you take that downgrade package that's sent to your device, it will wipe your device. It will wipe your data, and you gotta start all over.
Yeah,
so you gotta opt out and don't do that, and wait for the stable release to be pushed out.
So is it safe to say at this point are we marking Android 14 as a total disaster before it's even out, or what's
it's just little growing pains out
it's
the
just
door.
A little, it's just a little
once it comes
delayed,
out,
like like the average AAA show, a little delayed.
Yeah. Once it comes out, it's going to erase it like it would erase your device if you do the wrong thing. It's going to erase all the badness about it.
Well, yeah. Well, as someone who was on a team who pushed out 4 fixes in a single day when all of us were stuck at I/O, I will not say anything bad about this other than heart, sympathy, and looking forward to the release.
This stuff, it probably isn't very easy.
It's not easy, but
easy for us to throw tomatoes from the sidelines. But
that's for sure.
I'm sure that behind the scenes there's some sort of panic going on.
Just a slight panic.
All right. Well, Mishaal, anything else on the September release before we move on, or?
Oh, that's pretty much it. The fact that the update happened, this kind of weird timeline shenanigans going on, and nobody knows where exactly Android 14 stable is, and that's what we're all really here for.
Yep. So we're waiting for. Where in the world is Android 14 stable? That's the question.
I mean, at a certain point, why don't they just kind of hold on to it and then tag it onto the Pixel event? Like,
well, that's what I think is happening. That's my once they missed the September window, my gut was like, hey, we have a hardware event coming in early in a couple of weeks, October 4th in New York City. And Jason, sure enough, I can't even go. They booked it at a time when I'm unavailable. So, but I'm just gonna blame them for that, as if they care. My guess is that there has to be an update there, or it happens that day. That's my guess.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. Well, Jason, it wouldn't be a show without some numbers, right, Win?
Yeah, we have some numbers for you. So basically, Canalys, global technology market analyst firm, has put out an article stating that the North American smartphone shipments are forecasted to fall 12% in 2023. And yeah, I mean, there's going to be some uptick in sales kind of based around, of course, like launching of new models like the Pixels and Q3. And yeah, but it's been I think it's been, what is the lowest shipped device, like the lowest amount of shipped devices in like 10 years or something, or just
10
like
years,
more than years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if anything, you can see the premium segment, which is basically any smartphone costing $1,000 or more, is still remaining strong, and is kind of like a linchpin for a lot of manufacturers to kind of ride out the instability. But kind of not surprising with what we've talked about since, this whole pandemic thing and just the current economic, environment, inflation, that things are tough, and people are just, the manufacturers basically having to realign their strategies to both kind of try to continue to drive, premium upgrades and premium purchases, but also trying to figure out what the heck to do with the mass market, and folks that aren't looking to buy, premium phones. The Canalys does say that smartphone shipments, they do expect them to recover slightly in 2024 by about 3%. But I mean, don't really look to the numbers getting anywhere near, like pre-2021 numbers anytime soon. So,
and this is industry wide. This isn't just Android. This is because Apple's taking a hit too. I mean, so we just came off of an Apple event. Jason, what is your what's your take on the state of smartphones right now?
Well, I mean, smartphones, I feel like I feel the kind of slowdown. I feel like, in the past couple of years, we've had these foldables to be the kind of the distraction of, or the example of like what is innovation. And I think the market is mixed on whether people really truly believe that foldables are the innovation that people are looking for. I think at the end of the day, really, smartphones are a thing that we all have had for long enough for them to kind of for the excitement about them to kind of slow down a little bit. Yeah. Having said that, when I look at this report, there is a kind of a glimmer of hope for Google. Google's market share grew from 2% to 4%, so doubled their market share in a year. That's not bad. I mean, 4% isn't a giant, market share necessarily.
Going 2% growth, but still, and that we haven't even had their hardware event. Like it
do that again, Google, and you'll be at 8%.
Exactly.
There's a really cool dichotomy here, and I liked what so one of the analysts from Canalys, Lindsay Upton, called it the premiumization game, and a lot of the premium market is being driven by, of course, iPhone and Samsung, and of course, any iPhone and Samsung foldables, and that, she's, kind of noting that the kind of catch up in other OEMs trying to kind of get into the premium market and be like contenders in that premium space. But on the flip side, we talk a lot about like
the flip side.
Oh, I didn't mean to do, gosh darn it. Why did they on the other side, on the other end of the spectrum, because of like market volatility and kind of change in user spending habits, consumption, and this kind of like Lindsay Upton mentions elongated refresh cycles and declining carrier subsidies. There's like businesses have to focus on, quote, a more sustainable like business model for kind of like the non-premium market. And just like it kind of also driven by, as we've noted, like a lot of like regulations and just like customer intent. So like right to repair, replaceable batteries, all that kind of stuff. So there's like really kind of interesting tug and pull between like, hey, like the rest, like people that aren't in the premium market want to keep their phones longer. How do businesses deal with that while still driving, all of their crazy premium devices? So it's interesting time.
Also, business isn't great. So
I'm also kind of curious how the potentially the re-entry of Huawei into the smartphone ecosystem will actually upend things, because as we talked about last week, like they kind of shocked the world with their new devices that are powered by a seemingly unlabeled 5G capable chipset. And what would happen if Huawei was just unleashed on the world again? Like they were a force to be reckoned with when they were at their peak.
They were on tear. And that is not sketchy at all. A unlabeled 5G chip, right? Like that is,
you can trust them.
But yeah, do you think they can retain? Do you think they can get back what they once were if they lifted that? I suppose so, right? They can climb back up.
They have the capability. They made some seriously impressive hardware. I mean, they still do make some seriously impressive hardware. It's just they were severely hampered by losing access to those chip technologies and Google apps.
Yeah. So. We'll see. All right. Well, next story is admittedly a nostalgia pick because, Jason, over the decade plus that we podcasted together talking about Android, I feel like every 3 years we talked about Nokia in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a bad
recurring thing. And then at a certain point, it was still recurring. It's like, why is this even recurring anymore?
It's like a bad penny that keeps coming back, right? Well, here we are. It's back. Sort of, kind of. This is like a reverse Nokia. The people who make the current Nokia phones, HMD, they're going to launch their own smartphone brand. They've decided to move on from the not necessarily move on, but kind of do something different than the Nokia branded HMD Global, which is based out of Finland, and they produce the Nokia branded smartphones. And they've said, it's been a great journey as HMD, the home of Nokia phones, an exclusive position we've held for the past 6 years. An exclusive position, everyone, mind you. Like, when was the last time in 6 years you saw a Nokia phone that mattered? But they're taking their next step of their journey, and they're going to enter the market independently. And no information as to whether what those products will be, what HMD will look like, if they're going to call it HMD or HMD Global or some other brand or something like that. But sure enough, they're going to try to be on their own outside of the Nokia shadow. So.
What are the Nokia phones right now? Are they the mid-rangers? Like are Nokia devices right now kind of decidedly mid-range or
budget to mid tier? At least according to this article in The Verge, the Nokia C32 in that budget to mid tier. I don't know how much exactly they cost, but they definitely are affordable, and I gotta imagine they are more. It's being a Finland based, like this is another one where it's like it's more of a global brand than what we see domestically, right?
Yeah, we certainly don't see a whole lot of Nokia energy these days. I mean, we keep, like you said, we keep seeing that HMD is like really leaning into the fact that it's got the Nokia namesake and it's producing phones that have it on there as purely nostalgia for a certain group of people. But then there's a lot of people that like don't even understand the nostalgia around Nokia because it was so long ago. So I don't know. It's a really interesting brand in this day and age to know whether that actually works well for them or not. Yeah.
And I will give Cousin of Ja in the chat props for HMD equals hold my droid. So that's a good one. So all right, well there you go. There's a little Nokia for you, Jason. So
thank you. I was waiting.
Yes,
was thirsting.
Well, it is now time for the patron pick. So every Monday we post 3 news stories, and our lovely patrons who we adore and thank you very much for their support get to vote and pick on which one we discuss. And I mean, would you call that a landslide? I mean, like, that's a very hefty win. So what did we have? Sorry, I have to zoom in. So we had
so Google Fi users get easier Google One access.
Right.
Got 24% of the vote.
Oh, rip Surface Duo support window.
22% of the
22%. But with a decent simple majority, we got 54% picking Pixel Tablet Teardown, emptier than you think. So when I first suggested this, I did not know that this, I didn't notice or kind of miss that this actually started as a Ron Amadio write-up. So of course, there's a lot of wonderful Ron takes about what's going on inside the Pixel tablet. And basically, so this kind of started as a good thing, right? Because Google and iFixit have been partnering to kind of create, like this kind of going back again to like the right to repair, a more repairable, ecosystem by providing, guides and just official support. Well, a side effect of that is now you can see inside of a Pixel tablet. And hold on, I have to read you some Ron Amadio quotes. Ron notes that, quote, it's a little odd because the inside of this tablet looks like it was made in someone's garage with a 3D printer. So for audio stream listener only folks, kind of like some of the main things that are being pointed out that might be a little bit strange or maybe less, how do we say, less premium or just surprising about the inside of the Pixel tablet is that there's a lot of empty space. Once you take the display, or once you take the cover and the display off, you can see a lot of the kind of white backing plastic that is in fact just the back of the Pixel tablet. There are a lot of foam blocks that seem to be adding stability and actually, placeholders inside of the tablet. And kind of, I guess, very easy to see is there are a lot of wires, like connecting wires, where normally they would kind of be, grouped together, maybe laid over components kind of in a neat way. It kind of looks like your typical custom PC build where you're seeing red, white, and blue wires just kind of braided together.
It does look a little Radio Shack home, like make your own tablet kit.
Little bit. And there's a lot of space. And so, I don't know. I've never personally made a Pixel tablet, so I'm not going to judge. But there is some wondering about, so why is there so much space? Like, are these components that were for a smaller or less like rugged device put into a larger housing? Yeah,
or is it a testament to the state of hardware manufacturing that the components have gotten so smaller that when making a 10 or 11-inch tablet that you're going to end up with empty space?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, when I think of, I mean, I've never made a tablet before, but when I'm thinking of, the design of a tablet,
Mhm.
I'm not thinking I'm going to make this tablet so that the stuff inside fits it perfectly. I'm thinking I want the tablet to be this size, and
Mhm.
then I need it to do these things, which means these components. How do we fit these components in there? Maybe they were just really efficient with the components that they put in there. I don't know. Like, or is that a strange take? I mean, I don't own a Pixel tablet, but I do remember being at I/O and having one in my hands. It did not feel as hollow as like an on a tablet. Feels very empty and hollow, right? Like it felt significant enough. And I think at the end of the day, the vast majority of people aren't going to crack these things open, so it probably doesn't matter if that's the case.
Well, so I think it's worth sharing because when you did your research here, and we got the iFixit guide to replacing a battery on the Samsung Galaxy Tab S7,
but that's the latest version I could get. But
sure,
yeah, definitely less space. So it's just interesting to see the comparison. And like we've got folks in the chat popping in, like someone named Burke. Maybe I don't know.
Okay.
Burke.
Yeah.
This random gentleman named Burke saying that electronics are usually not a bunch of separate boards. So that's maybe worth
true.
noting. And kind of some of the criticisms that people have laid at the feet of the Pixel tablet are kind of the counter to that are seen here. Like again, the wires being laid kind of laid over components. And as Killbot404 and other folks have noted, but if there's so much space, could that not mean bigger battery, bigger storage, more
That's
things?
true.
give me a headphone. Give me a headphone jack. Come on.
No courage for it. So
That's pushing it, Ron. We don't have
I mean,
space
right
for that
there.
damn thing.
Can I tell you, Jason? Have you gotten to play with the Pixel tablet at all? Have you
Not
gotten your hands
since
on
it's
one?
been released. No, just at I/O.
So I did get one, and I have it. And in fact, I traveled. I went to Chicago this past weekend and actually traveled with it. And I got to tell you, like, I like it, but intuitively, stuff feels wrong. And basically what I mean is that, like, in looking at this photo of the Pixel tablet, right, pretend the screen is here. And when you're holding it landscape position, not portrait, right, the charging port, the USB-C port is on the left side.
Okay.
And instinctively, I want it to be on the right side because when I rotate it 90 degrees to hold a portrait, I want to plug in at the bottom. And I find myself plugging it in at the top. Now, sure, I could rotate it the opposite direction 90 degrees, and then that's fine. But the way my case is here, I have it right here. Like the way I have a spec case, and the way it's set up is the camera is on the upper right side, and so if I tilt it, it just all feels backwards. It feels like somebody left-handed made this. No offense to anyone left-handed, but you know what I mean? Like, or like the design.
Left-handed listeners like, hey, can't we have like one
exactly.
tablet?
No. I mean, like, or like somebody designed it in a mirror. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels like everything feels like it's in the wrong spot. Like the volume rocker and the power buttons on the upper right-hand corner when I want it to be on the upper left. Like, it's very kind of strange. So
audio stream listeners, just take a look at some of maybe go to iFix and check it out. But yeah, I mean, it is noticeable just kind of the difference in what the Samsung S7 looks like. And even if you look at an iPad breakdown, how things are a little more kind of cohesive. Again, not hardware designers here, but these look like a lot of disparate parts. I just wanted to actually note that kind of Ron did some speculation that he wonders whether the Pixel tablet really did start off as a proper smart display. And, you know, we've talked about this on this show and other shows about kind of like the weird migration from smart display / Google Assistant, emphasis to other things. And then so Ron's speculation is that maybe the Pixel tablet started off as a proper smart display, and because of like business changes or even like other product changes last minute or not so well planned out, that's why the inside looks different than other tablets. So I don't know.
Yeah, could be. That person named Burke, whoever he was, that was a pretty smart comment. I mean, when I was after he said that comment and I was kind of looking at the picture, I was like, okay, it really does kind of look like these things were just like tacked into place. Like, oh, I don't know, right there.
Yeah, sure. It lines up right here. Look, it fits.
Fix it with some glue. Sure.
I mean, it does look like I said, it looks like when in Radio Shack, you can get a build your own radio kit, right? And it tells you where to put everything. That's what it does look like. It's very odd.
It does have like foam blocks in it, like, which again, don't want to like just rag on someone for making a good, solution to a hard problem. But does it feel like a $500 tablet?
It's light.
I think that's kind of my point, is like at the end of the day, if it's sealed up and it works
Sure.
and it does the trick, like how much does it matter? I mean, maybe there's a reason for this to matter, and
Right.
I'm missing it. But
Pay no attention to the wires behind the curtain or the lack thereof.
Right. And just real quickly, just for parody's sake, we found a teardown of an iPad. And so you can see the inside of an iPad is much more.
dang.
I mean,
it's
audio stream listeners. It's funny because there is a big sign that says "This is weird." It's more just commenting on very specific parts of like the iPad 10 versus the iPad Air design, but it's pretty full. I mean, it's pretty dense, and I don't know in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not a hardware designer. If you are a hardware designer, write in and let us know. Is this weird? Are we being mean? Or is this make a lot of sense?
It's just, if you've opened up other devices, you're like, yeah, that's normal. Let us know.
And also, what's it like being a hardware designer?
Yeah. Do you want to come on the show and talk about it? We'd love to hear from you. Yeah.
Set us right. We're just a bunch of jerks over here opining and giving hot takes.
Yeah, and also, how does it pay? No.
All right.
Well.
So that was the patron pick. And a reminder, you go to patreon.com/AndroidFaithful, sign up there at any level, and you get to participate every week. We love everybody who votes on that. It's so much fun. So with that, there would be a bumper here where we would talk about hardware, but instead, I'm just going to throw it to Mr. Mishaal.
All right. So first up on the hardware is the news that dropped from Camilla. I'm always mispronounce her last name.
Wojciechowska?
But Camilla Wojciechowska, we'll go with that, for Android Authority, that talks about the roadmap for the Tensor chipsets that are coming in the future. You know, I know you all know that by now, hopefully, that the Pixel 8 is launching on October 4th next month. But this article is not talking about the chip that's going in the Pixel 8. This article is talking about the chip that's going in the Pixel 9, which is coming out next year. And it basically, the gist of it is that if you were looking forward for, a significant performance improvement in the Pixel 9's chip, unfortunately, looks like that won't be happening. If you're looking for Google's custom chip to actually result in something super fast and super performant, having all custom CPU and everything, it looks like that might be coming in the year after. In other words, the Pixel 10 or 2025 Tensor G5 series. So this article is a great read. It's very technical. It goes over like how Google partnered with Samsung to co-design the Tensor chipset, the various components within the Pixel's Tensor chip, and the IP blocks, the GPU, the NPU, the DSP, all these other things. If you're really interested in the silicon, the nitty-gritty hardware aspects, it's a great read. But the gist of it is next year, no super custom. The next year after is super custom stuff.
My main takeaway from this was that I like the fact that Google, we got away from dessert code names for Android version, but we've got beach code names for Tensor chips. We've got Redondo and Laguna and Zuma. We've got some good beach names here. So
well, they got to have some theme to wrap all their products around, apparently.
Exactly.
Oh, this is the thing. Engineers love to just find really intricate, esoteric, or just very specialized naming schemes for things, and we stick with it forever.
Yeah.
It's just our thing. Don't take it away from us. Make us happy.
Yeah, but the thing about, and to get less serious from the naming, I'm not surprised. I mean, Mishaal, I don't know if you were surprised by it. I'm not surprised by this because, I believe Jason and Wynn, I think I don't know, we this is a more recent All About Android-ism, but we said hardware is hard, right?
Yes.
making a system on a chip has got to be, it's a generational thing, and especially and this great article goes in depth with it. But the relationship with Samsung and what they learn from Samsung and what can they do on their own, it's not something that iterates very quickly. It is within years, right? Because they got to design it, they got to make it, they got to use all the chips they make before they make another one, right? I mean, I don't know. Am I wrong to be not surprised by this and/or patient in this process, or?
I mean, supply chain problems and Murphy's Law only goes. But go ahead. Sorry, Mishaal probably knows better.
No, I mean, absolutely. These things take years to develop. They're working on this stuff. The chips that they're working on now won't come out until 2025, 2026. These are years in advance they're making, especially custom CPU design. There's a reason that's so very rare, and the reason Samsung gave up was just because it was very, very hard. They had their custom Mongoose CPUs. They had a whole center, an R&D center in Austin that was developing all this stuff, but then they gave up, and now they're using largely Qualcomm chips throughout their devices. I think they still do make some Exynos chips in their Samsung flagship sold in a couple of markets like Korea, but even those are using ARM's, off-the-shelf CPU designs. They're no longer using Samsung's custom designs.
I have a question then about along that line is if they're If Google's trying to create its own first top to bottom, head to toe chip and release it years down the line, and this might be a question that none of us even have any clue the answer to. I know I don't. I'm baffled on this. Is how do they know that chip years down the line is going to be competitive with anybody else's chip years down the line? How do you even know that?
It's a good question.
That's a good question. It's actually like really relevant. They don't know. Like right now, they're just comparing the chip that they have, and they're comparing it against the current market. Like the Qualcomm, there was a report from this semiconductor research firm, SemiAnalysis, that talked about the Qualcomm's custom chip that's coming in their laptops, like their Orion CPUs, and they said they were comparing it with the M1/M2 chip, but Apple is already on the M3, which is significantly more powerful. So like, by the time Qualcomm's chipset comes out, which is, we don't know, I think maybe next year we'll see it in products, it's already going to be competitive with the M2, but like Apple will already be well underway, close to releasing their maybe M4 by that time.
Yeah, it's wild.
This is not quite the same thing, but it kind of reminds me also about, especially like in the last few years, you've heard about like whiskey or like bourbon, kind of like long, like things with like products with like a long tail where you have no idea what the demand is going to be when you start making something.
And you mean the actual, the liquid whiskey?
The liquid, sorry.
No, these are Google products.
I thought those are code names. Yeah,
bourbon, whiskey. I did say engineers like to theme their names, but it's such an interesting thing where you make a product and you will have no idea what the demand or the success or what the turnaround is going to be for that product years from now. It's just interesting. I never thought about it from a tech perspective before. Just usually like, yeah, making bourbon's hard, but so is chips.
Now I want bourbon.
Right. Yeah, bourbon would be kind of nice right now.
Chips would be really good right now.
So, all right. Well, cool. Well, thank you, Mishaal. That's a great flag. It's a great article. Everyone should go check it out. Really, really great job. If you want to get deep into it, it's over on AndroidAuthority.com. Check that out. But we were talking Nokia. We were talking about how they're in those phones were in the mid-range to budget tier. Over the years, I've been a big fan of what Motorola's been doing for the mid-range, and here they are. They're back. We're in that time of year where it's it's the fall and everyone's announcing their new phones and whatnot. And Motorola offered up some new mid-range phones in the form of the Motorola Edge 40 Neo, the Moto G84 5G, and the Moto G54 5G. And these all these phones come in, and I'm not gonna go through and read all the specs. You can check them out if you're looking for the mid-range. For me, it's the price. They come in somewhere between high $200 to high $300. Like the Motorola Edge 40 Neo is $375, which is just for as we're talking about $1,000 plus flagship phones or $1,800 foldable phones. It's nice to know that there are Motorola and other manufacturers are making phones that are affordable to the folks that can't afford the big, kind of flagship one. And the specs and all the stuff like that are pretty. They're not bad. They're decent phones as far as I'm concerned. So good job on Motorola for continuing the G line. I think it's an important spot in the Android marketplace for sure. So it's nice to see that they are still out there.
There's some sexy colorways too. I gotta say, Motorola tends to be pretty good with like the aesthetics of it, and there are some just really nice colorways. I don't know, they just look nice.
Yeah, they look good. They definitely. I feel like the Moto G line has matured nicely, right? It looks like it got a nice little Macadile.
I was gonna say Mateo probably would love this phone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so vegan leather finishing and lifelike entertainment features in the Moto G54 5G. And then you've got this wonderful, deep red with the Moto G84, irresistible design, ultra pixel camera, and 256 gig of storage. And yeah, once again, you won't find. I mean, are there any phones out there that are closer to AOSP, stock Android than Motorola? Motorola keeps a lot of the bloat off of there, so that's pretty good. So, cool. All right, so that's a little bit on the Moto mid-range, right?
Yeah, and we'll finish up hardware with a watch roundup. So we talked a little bit about Google kind of giving a sneak peek of the Pixel Watch 2 last week, and we've got a few more rumors about other things that might be packed inside the Pixel Watch 2. We already talked about the electrodermal activity EDA sensor for managing your stress and tracking out how stressed you might be. And not only that, but there'll also be a skin temperature sensor, according to sources, that will allow for kind of beyond what the Fitbit does now, which is kind of skin temperature overnight tracking as part of like general health trends. You should be able to now check your skin temperature on demand and still have that history. Now, that might seem a little bit much, but what I absolutely love is that the speculation is that this kind of more rigorous temperature tracking could be used for menstrual tracking, which is, I think is an awesome kind of increasingly kind of covered like area of health with all these like, new like health devices. Samsung talked about it a little bit. So health aside, and one more thing, the exercise UI will have a more engaging heart rate display while you're doing your exercise UI. So if you're doing your runs, your rowing, your cardio, and you got to stay in that zone 2 to get your VO2 max up, something about the UI will just make you work harder or stronger, faster, better. I don't know. Something about it will be more engaging. But not just exercise, but also personal safety. The current Pixel chip Pixel Watch already has a couple of personal safety features like hard fall detection, an emergency SOS feature where you hit the crown 5 times real quick succession and it does emergency dialing. So the Pixel Watch 2 will kind of add on top of that. And not just that, but we will try to make these features as standalone as possible. So a lot of these features, if you have LTE and if you have an active data plan, they should work without the phone. So these will include things like car crash detection, which we already have on the Pixel phone. And I'll also have, I didn't write down what the name of the feature called, but basically when it detects a crash, your core medical information will just be displayed on your watch in the case that emergency medical.
That's pretty cool.
Technicians need to kind of see it at a glance, which is amazing. This also will include emergency sharing, where your location can be shared with trusted emergency contacts. And then safety check, which is another feature that pairs with, Pixel phone, where you can basically set a countdown. And once that countdown expires, the feature will actually ask you, hey, are you all right? And if you have not responded, your emergency contacts will be notified. And again, while this is a Pixel phone feature, it will be added to the Pixel Watch 2 as a standalone feature if you have an LTE plan and an active data plan, or if you have the LTE device and an active data plan. So that's all great. Translation is coming back to the Pixel Watch 2. It's been away for a while once, WearOS stopped having the Google Translate app, but it looks like with other things that are being re-emphasized or re-entered through Google Assistant, translation will be part of the Google Assistant. And yeah, it does look like it will be independent of having the phone with you. So again, just the continuing thread of and theme of, hey, stuff you can do without your phone on your watch. And yeah, watch unlock is hopefully coming soon. We talked about this when we covered CES 2023 on All About Android. The code is there and it was built on a Android 13 API, but it might be held hostage by the release of Android 14, but it's coming. And 9to5 Google's APK Insight team unlocked it. Unlocked watch unlock to show you what it's like. You can go to the article to see kind of some screenshots of the actual setup process, but kind of what we've already talked about, where it's meant to kind of fill gaps in authentication. Like if you have wet hands, or if, of course, you're masked, why would you? I'm not going to make that joke. It's been a long pandemic, but kind of trying to make it for odd situations where the usual authentication methods don't work. Your wearable must be unlocked on your wrist and within 4 inches, and of course it might be slightly less secure, Google warns, than traditional face, fingerprint, and strong pattern recognition. And it might affect the battery slightly, but
within 4 inches.
4 inches.
So how is it doing that? Is that UWB?
I think just Bluetooth received signal strength, so just
the received signal strength. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And finally, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, before we move on to the next watch thing, Jason, are you tracking the Pixel event coming up in October? Are you excited for the new watch? What's your take?
Well, I'm excited for anything that they have going on at the new event, and I'll be getting whatever the new phone is. Apparently, Google really loves their temperature sensors because they've got it in the watch, and they're going to have it in the 8 Pro. I wonder what that's all about.
They've got a box
of
them in the office at Mountain View. They're like, listen, we got all these temperature sensors. Put them in something.
2023 is all about. temperature.
What I was shocked
Understand the watch.
What I was shocked is that one of those spots in the tablet was supposed to be a temperature sensor, and they didn't put it in. And so,
Wait,
yeah.
wait, in the
That's
tablet?
That's
Well,
my
wait,
joke.
you just like hold
No,
on
he
to
was,
it.
he was joking.
Okay.
Joking.
That's
I was
the empty
fooled because I
space.
would have believed it, Ron. I would have believed it.
So,
I do. I mean, I do like the theme though of, and Ron, didn't you mention this, like, especially for like pocket, like for podcasts and stuff, like being able to do a lot more with just the watch.
Yep.
And it seems like they're really coming for that kind of category of user with the Pixel Watch 2.
For sure, yeah, Jason, the Pocket Cast WearOS app is finally out, so maybe I'll give the Pixel 2 watch. Maybe I'll
Not
give that
too
a
late.
shot. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it'll recommend different podcasts depending on how warm you are.
You're stressed out. Here is a meditation podcast.
That's a good
Don't
idea.
listen to this political podcast right now, but you know.
Believe me, if there's any way through the API to do that, someone's gonna do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
troll! I like that trolling your stress.
It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. So, all right. Well, that's not the only watch news that's out there, right?
No, we've got a real quick peek at a Xiaomi entry into the arena with the Xiaomi Watch 2 Pro. Not much information just yet, but they made an X post X post September 18th. But yeah, the Xiaomi launch event in September 2020 will have information on the Xiaomi Watch 2 Pro. So if you are able to get a Xiaomi Watch 2 Pro, keep your eyes out for that.
And the big news on this is that it's running WearOS, right? Like
It is, yes.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
very interesting to see Xiaomi getting in the wearable game. So.
Yeah, wondrous amounts of watch news this
Oh,
week.
the wearables. All right, X. All right, cool. Well, that's going to wrap it up for hardware. And so we like to talk about apps on the show, Jason. I don't know. I know the old show didn't really talk about apps as much, but we made a concerted effort to talk about apps here. So I hope that's
Fine,
cool.
it's
Yeah.
your show. You can do whatever you want with it.
But I saw this pop up last week after we finished last week's show, and I was like, oh, we got to talk about that, especially, Jason, since you were coming on and you're working on the AI show. The fine folks at Swiftkey on the Swiftkey Beta now let you generate AI images from Swiftkey directly. And I thought this was really interesting because last week we talked about Google's AI implementations in Gboard, where they're enabling AI-driven, kind of rewrite, kind of grammar checks and kind of, that sort of thing, like AI getting more integrated into the keyboard. But here, Microsoft, who now owns Swiftkey and is very big on AI, is enabling the Bing AI image creator, which is powered by DALL-E, to generate images right from Swiftkey, which is kind of crazy. Now, Jason, you know a lot about this AI stuff.
Oh, I know everything. I'm an AI expert at this point. I've been doing podcasts sort of for like 2 months. I know everything.
So is DALL-E a good option? Is Bing doing a good job on the AI, or is this would this be something you would use, or what do you think of this?
I think this makes sense. Microsoft owns Swiftkey. Microsoft owns Bing. AI is a really big deal right now, and I think all of the major companies that have any sort of foot in the AI space, which is basically all of them because it's the hot thing right now, is looking for any way to integrate and make it so that you don't have to go to a destination to do that AI thing. The AI thing is already baked into the thing you're using already. So I think it makes perfect sense for Swiftkey to do this. Google, like you said, doing it with their messages thing, and not to mention, like, when it comes to messaging, so often we're presented with these things that we want to say or a feeling we want to present, and thus far our solution has been emoji, or it's been an animated GIF that's already been created, or it's been a screenshot that somebody's already made, or you come up with it and you have to like go into a separate app and create it. I mean, this actually makes a ton of sense to me. It's like, well, the feeling I have is a magician jumping into a swimming pool, and poof, you get it, or whatever.
Create your own illustration, somewhat.
Create it on the fly. I think it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
What I want to know is how many gallons of water does Microsoft Data Center use every time I send my friend a meme?
Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point. I mean, as these things get baked into everything, like the amount of water that it takes to drive it in the back, the back end.
It's brutal. So
it is.
Sorry, I missed that joke completely. Am I the only
it's a
one?
joke.
It's not really a joke.
Yeah, it was kind of just the
Or-
harsh reality of like every time one of these AI models is running in like their data center, it requires a lot of water to cool
Yeah.
all these servers. So like,
Oh,
how
okay,
much
so it's
water? How
literally
much
just,
water am I wasting literally
Yeah.
by making a meme with this keyboard?
Generally the drain, much like NFTs, but the
Yeah.
drain that AI has on servers and data centers is a real, ecological impact, right, over time, right? And so,
Oh, it's an interesting framing. I always thought of it as like the actual just general energy consumption, but yeah. Oh,
Well,
Cool.
so there was even a study about ChatGPT and the amount of water that it generates, and just training it alone, ChatGPT 3 consumed 185,000 gallons of water, equivalent to the amount of water needed to cool a nuclear reactor.
what?
Oh my
Seriously?
gosh,
Yeah.
that's
Sorry,
insane.
this is news to me.
That's
That's
insane.
Kinda, the environmental impact of all this AI stuff. That's a whole other story.
These are the things you learn on Android Faithful. So
There you go.
Good listening. All right,
Factoid for you.
well, I feel like we got a rant coming up.
so
Yeah.
I was not happy to see this. So, y'all might have remembered that we did have a Pixel tablet. Actually, if you were all about Android fans and watched the last episode, you know that I have a Pixel tablet in my house, which kind of promptly flew off the dock. My legacy at TWiT,
Yes.
and that I, generally speaking, my husband and I are huge fans of smart displays, and we love our Google Nest Hub Max, and kind of basically expected the Pixel tablet to be that, which it is not. So to my further chagrin, I read this article from The Verge this week saying that basically people have been getting messages that Google is going to axe support for Google Meet and Zoom on its Nest Hub Max smart displays. So there's a little bit of nuance here. Basically, for Google Meet, you can't join meetings from the Nest Hub Max display anymore. You can do one-to-one calls, but you cannot join meetings with a call. Join meeting Google, kind of join Google Meets with a code anymore starting September 28th. And if you happen to be using Zoom on your Google Nest Hub Max, that support will end very soon, September 30th, 2023. And I mean, I know there's not a big deal. I don't know how many people are taking Zoom calls from the Nest Hub Max, but it's just yet another nail in the coffin for me because, they already stopped offering games. They've definitely been, distancing themselves from kind of these smart hub displays and really emphasizing, the more kind of on phone, on tablet stuff. And of course, my disappointment with Pixel tablet.
I mean, my first question here is why, and I always got to go back to these decisions don't get made lightly.
No,
or maybe they do. I don't know. It's Google. What do we know? I should know better. But I wonder if people just aren't using it, right, Mishaal?
I mean, we are. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sorry.
the Nest Hub Max and all the other Nest Hub devices are running a completely different operating system.
Yeah.
They're not running Android, so
Right.
it will require some level of support and active development on Zoom and Google's end to continue supporting these apps. I mean, they're not going to do it indefinitely, but on a platform like Android, you can't imagine Zoom is dropping support for Android anytime soon. So that's why I kind of see the Pixel tablet as a successor platform is something that will have much longer longevity. Even though Google says when they launch a Pixel tablet, we're not replacing the Nest Hub. Well, you look at this news and you're like, well, does this thing have much of a future if they're just dropping apps and features left and right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm pissed about. Basically, it's I totally get what you're saying, and I get. And especially as someone working at a software company, I get it. At some point, if some people are not using your product, it makes no sense to invest money in it, and you have to migrate people to other things. I totally get it. I'm just disappointed because I think that the experience that we're getting through things like the Pixel tablet just don't compare to the kind of many years of really cool features, and really smart. I think the smart display experience on the Nest Hub Max is awesome. Things even just saying stop your dang alarm, and even the way that certain things work on the Nest Hub Max were really geared towards it living on your
device.
Yeah, a home device. And I totally get it. I just wish they had put more effort, or maybe I hope that they put more effort into transferring some of that more seamless home experience into the tablet than they currently have.
Yeah.
And also, just to put a final point, this is a little bit different, but now if you are the kind of person who like to kind of create speaker groups with your Google Home devices, we do, you are now actually only limited to one group. So before, any Nest device, any Nest device in your home could be added to multiple speaker groups. So you could have one for every single speaker in your house, or have one for just kitchen, bathroom, whatever. Now you are limited to one. Although this is a little bit different. This has a lot to do with the legal issues with Sonos.
The Sonos deal. Yeah,
the Sonos
this
deal,
is the
which
Sonos
was,
thing. Yeah.
which kind of took away like using the physical rocker to change, the volume of a group. So it's a little different, but you can kind of see like, well, again, kind of maybe justifying it for Google. There's a lot of negatives to keeping Nest around. So I am.
It just seems like an albatross. I mean, Jason, I'm watching you shake your head at this one. Right?
Oh, it's just disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those features that at this point is just feels like table stakes, and yet you can't do it. And I get it, like it's the lawsuit and everything. But I mean, what is Sonos doing at this point? Like seriously, like Sonos has got to kind of command this type of feature. Like, are they relevant anymore? I don't know. Sour grapes. I don't actually have Nest. Well, no, I have Google Home speakers. Nah, never mind. I'm pissed.
No, we do, and
lame.
I think I mean Sonos has all rights to their IP as they do, but I will give it to you that I am very much less invested in. We have a Sonos setup a little bit for certain parts of the house. I am very much less invested in it than I ever was in my Nest Hub Max. I mean, I love that thing, and I was happy to just like play with it until Kingdom Come, but oh well.
Right.
Bye. Smart display.
All right.
Experience.
Cool. Well, Mishaal, you got the next story as I try to tee it up for you. There we go.
Excellent segue.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, in the Gboard app, you've been able to use the Emoji Kitchen feature to basically create a mashup of whatever emojis you want, like whatever comes to imagination. Now Google is bringing that to the web. So if you just type in like Emoji Kitchen into search, you can mash up emojis to your heart's content. The available options aren't as numerous as they are in the Gboard app for Android, but if you're an iPhone user or you're just on a PC, now you can do the same. Now you can create an Emoji Kitchen creation or abomination or whatever you want to call it, and copy paste it, send it to your friends over whatever messaging app you want to use. And there's one thing I saw on Twitter, like I have to show, if you're on video, here we go. This is amazing. Like I love the things you can create with Emoji Kitchen. You have like this mean looking face, the adorable turtle emoji, and then you create this the meanest looking adorable turtle I've ever seen.
So just to give you, again, our audio listeners, everyone knows the purple devil emoji, right? Like the little purple devil. That's the purple face merged with the turtle to make a devil turtle. Good, and shout out to Quad Spawning on X or Twitter on that who did that. But yeah, you can see throughout this whole thread people making a pine tree and a whale to make a pine tree whale. It's crazy.
Or if you combine the fire emoji with a pig, you apparently get bacon.
It's great. There's some really smart ones. If y'all know what monkey bread is, it's like this kind of loaf you make where you can like pull it apart. If you do monkey plus bread, it actually shows you monkey, like the actual monkey bread, the actual kind of So
That's
anyway,
funny.
it's awesome. It's a kitchen.
Yeah.
Damn,
right, and a little more
hungry for monkey bread.
And I'm hungry. I haven't eaten.
Mishaal, we got a little more productive last app note for everyone, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so a couple of months ago, Google announced the rollout of the Play Store's app archiving feature, which would basically let you uninstall the app but keep its data in case you want to reinstall it later and when you have more space. But that feature was only opt-in at the time of whenever you were running out of storage and you tried to install an app. Google would offer to archive some apps so that you could free up space to install that app. Now, what they're rolling out is a new toggle in Play Store settings that lets you opt in to the app archiving feature without having to go through that, without having to have low storage and then going to install an app. So that's basically all they did. Unfortunately, right now, you can't manually archive an app. So you can't just like go to your app list and then say, I want to archive this app and use it for later. But yeah, if you want to opt in, now you can do that in settings.
And Jason, this is just to catch you up to the Android faithful world. This a new part of the drinking game is when an article references Mishaal's tweets.
I mean, Mishaal, you're prolific. I swear half the articles that I do read, I see you mentioned somewhere in there. I'm continually impressed.
Yeah, I'm a little leery about continuing the drinking game because I think we're all going to get alcohol poisoning soon.
If we had bourbon and whiskey, then it'd be fine. So,
we just sip then. Yeah. Yes.
So, all right,
when you run across Mishaal's name in an article and you mention it on the show, do you refer to Mishaal as if he's not on the show with you? Like,
Mishaal Rahman of Android Faithful reports. Yeah.
Anyways,
there was 1 week when he wasn't on the show, and we had like 4 stories that all referenced his tweets. So it was almost like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like Mishaal's here.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, that's going to wrap it up for apps. And now we're going to get in some of your emails. As always, we like to hear from everybody. You can write into us at contact@androidfaithful.com. We love to hear from you. And before I get into the first email, which is a reaction to last week's episode, Jason, did you use Beeper? Have you been on the Beeper bandwagon, or did you play with it? Or
yeah, I'm on the Beeper bandwagon. I actually installed it.
Cool.
Probably like a week and a half ago, but I still can't get it to like sync up with my iMessage or my messages on my Mac. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I want it to work.
You got some Beeper problems.
I tried. Yeah.
Well, so last week we had someone write in. So a couple of weeks ago, we had someone on the show, Brendan Bigley, talking about Beeper, sharing his experience with it. We had someone write in last week who wanted to get on Beeper, so we can kind of close the book on this story because he wrote back in. Brandon wrote in and said, "Thank you guys for your help on getting to use Beeper. I found their Twitter as you recommended, and upon searching, found this link, which is a link to Reddit, where people are sharing invite and referral codes." And he says it's not so closed now. He hopes everyone gets to use it. I just set it up today and we'll be putting it through its paces. Thanks for the awesome recommendation, Brandon. And I love when this happens, when like someone writes in, we give some feedback, and then they get what they want. They got the app they want. But this story doesn't end here, because we also got an email from Adam J, who wrote in and said, "I'm a longtime Beeper user and they gave us invite codes to share with others. I'd be happy to give Brandon one of them." And these emails came in back to back. And so like Brandon wrote in, and then I immediately got Adam's email right after it. So I was able to tell Adam, no, Brandon's all set. He's good. But it was just great to see. So if you're looking for Beeper, go to Reddit, and there's a subreddit for Beeper. It's reddit.com/r/Beeper. And there's people sharing invite and referral codes. And that's a real easy, good, fun way to get directly into Beeper, which is awesome. So yeah, I love when that happens. It's like the best way the stories can go. So, all right, cool. And then we got one more email.
Yes, and this email is from Derek in Illinois. Hello, AF crew, if I can call you that. The past few weeks, you guys have covered the phone that is designed to be carried as a purse. It looks like Casemate already has an offering for the iPhone with a similar style of carrying. It takes a very brave soul to hang their iPhone by its charge port and a plastic case. Love the new show and the Android faithful name, Derek. Jason, have you seen the Honor? I'm sorry to talk about this for like the 3rd week in a row, but Jason,
I love it. I
know too. Jason, have you seen the Honor V purse?
No, the Honor V purse.
Well, I'm pulling it up right now. Hang on. So first off, this is the Honor V purse, Jason.
Oh my goodness.
It is a
wraparound foldable that has 2 hooks for chains.
And it has a display that shows the pattern of a purse, and also it can move with the phone moves, or like as if you're touching it.
Yeah,
right?
You can have little charms hanging off of it, and presumably they have physics as well.
Okay.
And it originally was announced as a concept phone, and then 2 weeks later, it's in production. It'll be like launched September. Wait, real soon. Actually,
real soon.
Real soon.
Wow.
Actually, might have been released today. Actually,
fast tracking that thing. It's such a great idea. They're fast tracking it.
Yeah.
So for our video viewers and our audio viewers, the emailer wrote in with this case from Casemate, which attaches to an iPhone and gives you a stylish chain for you to hang your phone by. Not so much a purse, more as a necklace or whatever. Invited you to reimagine how you carry your phone.
Yeah, and you have to plug it into the charge port in the case, which is great because when someone starts really yanking on that chain, that's exactly the kind of place on the phone that you want to apply a lot of force to. Exactly. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I'm like. I don't know why it matters to me to figure this out, but I'm like, seriously, like it only plugs in the charge port. It does look like it has a little bit of a further attachment kind of design to it. So thankfully, I don't think you're just like plugging it in, hoping that it never like jostles free. There's a little bit of a fastening to it. It's more than meets the eye.
Yeah,
like a transformer.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, like a really pretty over-the-shoulder transformer.
I really hope we can get our hands on one because I
do too.
just want to carry it around for a week and just see how messed up that phone gets in my hands.
Do
Oh,
like
man.
a 20-minute review on just that case.
We gotta
and
find someone
post
with
it
a
on
contact
YouTube.
and honor to make that happen.
And
Yeah.
it's a
We got a
wraparound
really good pun
foldable.
from someone in Twitch chat.
Oh,
Killbot404 who says, so now you'll be really mad when someone is yanking your chain.
absolutely.
But there it is. Yeah, thank you.
Nice.
Yanking my chain. No, seriously. I don't
No,
want to use
seriously.
my phone.
It's my power port. Please no.
All right. So thank you everyone who emailed into us. You can email us at contact@AndroidFaithful. We love to hear from you. So much fun. And you can get that link, of course, on our website at AndroidFaithful.com with all of our subscribe links and fun stuff like that.
I love your website. I love your graphics. I love your music. You guys have done some really amazing stuff.
We pulled out the stops.
Faithful.
We really pulled out the stops. I'm glad you liked it. Well, Jason, thank you so much for coming on the show. You I don't know, not to get too sappy or emotional, whatever, but like your DNA is in everything we do here on Android Faithful. We wouldn't be here without you. So we're honored to have you join us.
I love you all. I
We
so
miss you
enjoyed
week
doing
to
this
week.
show, and I miss you guys too.
Yeah,
This is a lot of fun. Thank you.
Well, that said, at the end of the show, our guests get to plug.
Wow! I'm on the other side of it.
You are.
Twit.tv, go there. I do Tech News Weekly. If you happen to be a subscriber of Club Twit, then you can check out my AI show called AI Inside. I'm doing that with Jeff Jarvis, and we're having a lot of fun just kind of playing around with AI tools, interviewing people about different topics in the world of artificial intelligence and all that stuff. And then as far as socials, at Jason Howell on X until they start charging, then I will probably leave for good. And just search my name in a social media platform. You'll find me probably.
All right, excellent. Well, Jason, seriously, man, this is a dream come true for us. So we
Me too.
we can't appreciate
you guys.
We
It
appreciate you
was a
so
lot of
much. So, all right, Mishaal, where can the people find you?
Yeah, so I'm on all social media platforms at Mishaal Rahman. If you want to find out what's coming soon in Android 14 QPR, definitely give me a follow because I'll be posting a whole lot about that OS update once it launches. And if you want to support me, I'm also on Patreon at patreon.com/Mishaal Rahman.
Excellent. Go support Mishaal. He's doing the Lord's work with your with your tweets and you're digging into it. So,
well, thank you all.
All right, cool. All right, Huyen.
Yeah, I am an Android developer. That's my day job. Yes, it is my day job. And you can find any talks like the one I did just last week in DroidCon New York on my website, railingtyping.com, including video code and whatever when the video is out. And yeah, if you are on a social network of some sort and you type in Code Monkey and you find it, it's probably me. Then if it's not, let me know because I'll go after that person. I'm just kidding.
It's a good name. It's a good name.
Thank you.
So,
It's a little long, but it's me.
And finally, you can follow me on social. I'm on all the various socials at RonXO. So go find me there. And also, I don't talk about much on the show as much that often, but I got a little startup called Scorebit where we have an Android app that allows you to track your pinball scores. We just had a massive update to the app actually roll out recently. Not massive, but we did a lot of bug fixing and catching up on stuff like that. And actually, it's really funny because we've been using the AI AI coding bots to help us kind of squash bugs, which is pretty cool from an AI perspective standpoint, like the Android Studio integration and all that fun stuff. So so go to Scorebit in the Google Play Store. It's totally free. If you like pinball, check it out. Good times. And as always, I mentioned it earlier, but I want to remind you to go to that website that Jason says that he loves over at AndroidFaithful.com. And that's got all of our...
Look at it. It's so amazing.
It's amazing what you can do in about 3 days. And there you can find links to subscribe to Pocket Cast, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, etc. By the way, I am very, very honored to the fact that we are consistently in the top 100 podcasts for the category Tech News on Apple Podcasts.
Nice.
So if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts talking about Android, we love you. You're our people. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's fun when that happens, isn't it? So, all right. Well, that is going to wrap it up for this week. This podcast releases every Tuesday night, and you can subscribe at AndroidFaithful.com, or you can go watch on YouTube at youtube.com/dailytechnewsshow or twitch.tv/goodDayInternet. That's it for this week. We'll see you next time on Android Faithful.